Well, first road trip of the season coming up. What's been the focus this week?
Well, we looked at some video that from our previous two games in Chicago and tried to find some areas that we needed to improve on, and obviously we were going to find some of those areas. So we had 3 days of good practice, and obviously trying to do a little bit of prep work for San Diego. And they're a pretty good hockey club, a very good hockey club, and had a great first outing in Tucson. And so we're trying to prep for their weekend moving forward.
It's interesting you mentioned the San Diego game in Tucson. They win their game 7-6. You guys had a couple of offensive slugfests with the Chicago Wolves. So the goals are there, but in terms of the defense or the goals allowed, that's kind of seems like a sticking point for both teams. So what have you seen on tape against the San Diego squad?
Well, we're just going to prep for what we need to do to be successful against them, and obviously you got to play the games. But for us, if you look back at our two games against Chicago, I felt we managed the first two periods of both games very well, and then once we established a lead, we kind of backed off the gas a little bit in the third. That's just a sign of a young new team put together, and don't take anything away from Chicago. They're a high octane team, and they battle back in both games. So it's an area of improvement for us. It's just managing the game, learning to be comfortable playing with the lead, doing the right things at the right time. And when we had a breakdown, they exposed us. So those are some of the areas that we try to focus on and try to improve on moving forward every game we play.
You lose Remy Ellie to the NHL. He made his season debut with Dallas last night. How do you fill that void?
Well, what we'll do is we'll move bodies around, and we change our lines around a little bit. We really liked the line last weekend of Morin, Dickinson, and Yulee. They were probably our most consistent offensive line in both games. All four lines contributed throughout the weekend, but that was probably our most consistent line start to finish. So we moved a little bit. Great for Remy Ellie. Remy Ellie had a great training camp. He got sent down early, played 2 games, back up in the NHL. With the movement of Cracknell, I'm not sure we'll see him again. So hats off to Remy. He's had a great year and a half in the organization. Finished up here in Dallas last year. So we're very excited for him. We're very happy for him. And we've got a few more kids that might make that jump here pretty soon. So we just have to manage it.
You mentioned the line of Morin, Dickinson, and Yulee and the consistency they brought this weekend. What is it about that line that you enjoy so much and that's made them consistent through 2 games?
Well, there's a little bit of everything. There's a lot of skill, a little tenacity with Dickinson and Yulee, and Mo can bring some tenacity, and just they played solid. They were good in their own zone, and they did a good job with the time they had. They didn't see a lot of power play time, so that being said, we've got a lot of room to improve on in those areas, but I really like the veteran leadership of Mo on that line. Cole Yulee's had a great training camp. He's had a great start to the season. And same with Jason Dickinson. Jason Dickinson, that same boat with Ropey Hintz and Remy Ellie and Jason Dickinson and Dennis Garrionov. Those guys are the next wave of the Dallas Stars. So Dickie was outstanding. Scored a big overtime goal for us on Saturday night. But I just like the chemistry of that line early in the season.
From the outside looking in, I think you can see 10 goals given up in 2 games, and it makes you scratch your head. But when it comes to your goaltending, there were some vital saves by Mike McKenna in that overtime period on Saturday. So how do you feel about your goaltending, and what's the goaltending approach this weekend in San Diego?
Well, Mike will get the start here on Friday night in San Diego, and right now he's scheduled to play both, and we'll see how that figures out. You look at Chicago, they've got a very good hockey club. They got 4.5, 5 lines they can dress any night. That first line of Puukkonen and Peary and Tuck were outstanding, and I thought Ropey Hintz's line with McKenzie and Ellie did a great job shutting them down on Saturday night. But their other 3 lines stepped up, so it just shows you the firepower and the strength of teams early in the NHL season, early in the American League season. So once the season starts to kind of grow through the grind a little bit, you'll see some of these players filter back up to the NHL. So it'll be another good weekend. San Diego's got a very good hockey club, great power play. Dallas does a great job coaching that team, and we know them pretty well from last year and the year before, so we'll just get ready to play Friday night.